These are the 3 diet hacks that have helped me lose over 35 kilograms of body fat. Now, over the years, I've tried every diet you can think of. I've tried low carb diets, Atkins diet, keto, and I even tried this thing once called Lighter Life. It was essentially like Slimming World, I guess. It was when you just have 3 to 4 milkshakes every single day, and you'd be starving hungry, you'd be in a crazy calorie deficit. I think it was something like, I'd be on like 1,200 calories a day, and the weight would just fall off. Like, of course it would. I think I was 19, 20 when I did that, and I went from being super heavy, I think I was like 20 stone, and I lost loads of weight. But as soon as I stopped the shakes, what do you think happened? I put all of that weight back on again. So I'm going to show you the 3 foundations that I help my clients with today, and they're things that I still practice that help me maintain my weight. And anytime I do want to shed some extra kilos, I fall back to these 3 things. So 1 and 2 are really important, but without number 3, it all falls apart. So make sure you stay tuned for number 3. Okay, number 1 is making low calorie swaps. Now, you can almost just do this straight away. The food that you would normally consume, you can normally always find a lower calorie, usually lower fat or reduced sugar alternative. It's such an easy thing to do. So I eat a lot of Greek yogurt, for example. Now, you can either choose the 10% Greek yogurt or the 5%, or even better, you can go for the 0%. Now, you're gonna say, is it as nutritious? Is the 0% as nutritious as the 10%? Because we know that fats are great for our health. Well, no, it isn't. But look, when we're trying to lose fat, we need to optimize for fat loss and not for our overall health. We need to make a few sacrifices to help make the diet easier and to help us stay in a calorie deficit. And we can do that by making lower calorie swaps. And listen, once you lose the weight and you lose the fat and you want to start, and you've got more calories and you want to start eating, the higher fat stuff again and optimize for health, then you can. But while you're trying to lose fat, you need to make a few sacrifices. So I'll give you a few examples. Greek yogurt, or I have Icelandic skyr because it's quite a bit easier to get down. You can have lower calorie spreads, butter, any dairy, so any creams, milk, reduced sugar, sauces, ketchup, even reduced sugar beans if you like baked beans. You can almost find swaps throughout your diet throughout the whole day. There's plenty of swaps that you can make, and you can almost immediately make these swaps and you can reduce your daily intake by 200, 300 calories. Drinking 0 calorie fizzy drinks is another great one, because there's nothing worse than consuming your calories through liquid, because it ain't gonna fill you up and it's gonna make it way harder to stick to your diet. And listen, before anyone gives me any crap about artificial sweeteners like aspartame in the comments, then listen guys, the evidence on the dangers of those artificial sweeteners is not conclusive for a start. Many of the studies have been done on rats, which has classified them as carcinogens. But you have a look at that carcinogen list and there's a lot of stuff on there that you probably have every single day. But also, way more people die every single year from being obese and being overweight than they do from artificial sweeteners. So let's get our priority in order. If you're overweight and you're seriously overweight and you're obese, you're gonna be much better off getting rid of that weight as quick as you can before you start worrying about artificial sweeteners. Now, once you lose that weight, by all means, if you want to cut out the artificial sweeteners, go for it. But the biggest risk to your health right now, if you are overweight, is the excess body fat, the visceral body fat, than any artificial sweeteners. Now, the beauty of making these lower calorie swaps is that you're still getting the exact same volume of food. So if I get my 200 grams of Greek yogurt, 10% versus 0%, I'm still getting 200 grams of yogurt, but I'm getting more protein in this and less calories. So if I'm on a calorie restricted diet, I can still eat the same amount of volume, but I can reduce my calories. And you can easily save hundreds of calories every day just by making these simple swaps. I've actually got a low calorie swap guide that I've put together. I'll leave it in the description if you want to grab it. I think there's about 50 swaps on it in a minute, and I'm always adding more to it. So if you want to make some swaps straight away, then just check out that guide below. Okay, number 2 is to track your food. Now you have to, in my opinion, you have to track everything. There's no other way that you can successfully go on a long-term fat loss journey, build awareness about your foods if you're not tracking. Now, when it comes to tracking, the tracking is only as good as how accurately you track, so you need to do it properly. But today it's so easy. There's apps like MyFitnessPal that are totally free. I've got like 15 years worth of tracking data on mine. Now, once you start doing it, it can be a little bit finicky at first while you're kind of learning how to use it. Once you build up the data and you kind of get, the foods that you have day to day in it, it's so easy to just go on, tick off what you've had, scan what you're having, and track everything. Now, the reason I think you've got to do this is you know that you need to be in a calorie deficit if you want to drop body fat, if you want to lose weight. Now, the only way to know if you're in one is to track it. Otherwise, you're just guessing. Now, sure, you can guess for a while and you might start losing weight, but if you've got no idea how many calories you're having every day and you've got no idea what your maintenance is and what you need to be in to lose fat, then how do you progress? Because as you move through your diet, you'll need to eat fewer calories. And if you're just guessing every day, you've got no way to measure what you had last week to what you're having this week. And I hear people say to me all the time that tracking is a ball ache and I ain't got time. But listen, guys, if you want to lose fat, if it really is a priority for you, just take the time to do it, man. It really ain't a ball ache. As I said, you can spend 10-15 minutes getting it set up, and once you start using it, literally every day you can go through and track. Now, what I like to do is I like to plan my meal for the day ahead. So in the morning, I'll plan my meals, I'll scan what's in the fridge if I need to, I'll roughly put in what I've got, because what you don't want to do is get to the end of the day, come to do your dinner, realize you've got 100 calories left. So if you track throughout the day, you can make adjustments to your food before you even eat it to make sure that you've got enough calories to last you through the day. Now, when it comes to tracking accurately, there's a few things you need to do. One is you need to make sure that when you're scanning a barcode, you're cross-referencing the info on the barcode to what's on the app, because sometimes it can be different. Another thing to be aware of is sometimes the information on your phone will be like the cooked weight, for example, or a frozen weight, whereas what's on the pack might be different. So make sure that you're not weighing it cooked and then scanning it raw, because there can be a difference in calories, which also brings me on to the fact that you must weigh everything and you must use an accurate set of digital scales, which you can get for like £8 on Amazon. So there's no excuses. You really got to weigh stuff, because if you're not weighing it, then you really got no idea. And if you're just eyeballing it, again, you're going to be so off. And it might work for a while, but ultimately, long term, you need to make sure that you're measuring, because if you measure it properly and you track it properly, then you can make adjustments later on down the line. And another thing that I hear from people all the time is to say, I'm eating healthy. People reach out to me on Instagram all the time and say, I'm eating healthy, I'm having avocado, I'm having steak, I'm having eggs. That's all well and good, but you might be eating 4,000 calories a day of that shit. And if you ain't tracking it, none of that matters. None of that matters at all. So yeah, you might be eating healthy, but you must track it, guys, because otherwise you're literally just stabbing in the dark. And tracking allowed me to remain in a calorie deficit throughout my entire diet, which helped me lose the 35 kilos. And I still track today. Even when I'm not on a fat loss diet, I still track. Now, do I do it as religiously? No, but I've got 15 years worth of experience tracking, so I can kind of gauge it, but I still track. Every single day I'm tracking stuff. I'm getting a rough idea of what I'm having. Now, one of the other beauties of this is that you can bank your calories. So at the weekend, if you know you're going to have a bit of a blowout and you've got an event to go to, you can eat fewer calories during the week, and then you can eat those extra calories on the weekend. And that way you're still staying in your diet. And talking about being flexible, that brings me on to point number 3. But guys, if you're getting value from this video, I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, because I'm sharing more videos sharing my journey and my clients' journeys to help you try and lose your own body fat. So number 3 is being flexible and choosing a diet that you can adhere to. Because if you can't adhere to it, then you ain't going to do it. And if you ain't going to do it, well, you're not going to lose any fat. So when I say diet, I don't mean fewer calories. I just mean the foods that you're eating. Now, the purpose of any fat loss diet is to put you in a calorie deficit. So whether that is keto, whether that is intermittent fasting, whatever the diet is, the purpose is to reduce your calories so you lose fat. Now, what I do and what my clients do is something called flexible dieting. And this is literally what it says on the tin. You're being flexible. Now, you can eat whichever foods you want to within reason. And when I say within reason, if you want to go off and eat McDonald's every day and you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. But it's going to be very unhealthy, you're going to feel like shit, and it's not good long term. So within reason, what I like to say is 80 to 90% of the time, make sure the foods that you're eating are foods that you would classify as healthy, as whole foods, as unprocessed foods. You know, you can still eat bread. I still classify as bread as that. When I say processed, I'm talking about, you know, the shit processed stuff. You can eat white bread. There's no data to suggest that over the course of your long-term fat loss journey, having brown bread versus white bread is going to have any significant difference. And if you can find a study that cites that, then please drop it in the comments, because so far I haven't found one. So flexible. Eat the foods you enjoy. Whatever food you're eating now, if you enjoy eating them, eat them. But once you start tracking your calories, you can make sure that you can adjust the quantities of those foods so that you can be in a calorie deficit and you can lose weight. And then the other 10% of the time, if you want to have a bag of crisps or a chocolate bar and still be in a calorie deficit, if you want to have a bottle of beer and still be in a calorie deficit, then you can. And the beauty of that is, rather than being restrictive all week and then wanting to have a binge on the weekend, if you eat reasonably whole foods 80% of the day and you have a little treat once or twice a day and you're still in a calorie deficit and you're still losing fat, it will stop you wanting to binge. And this was the biggest unlock for me, because all the diets I'd done before, I'd be so restrictive. And I'd give myself a cheat day maybe at the end of the week or at the end of the month, and I'd be counting down the days and the hours till I could do it. I'd have a massive blowout and overeat my calories. I'd be so indulgent. And then once I started, I couldn't stop. And I would just eat an unbelievable amount of crap. And I ended up ruining my diet, ruining the whole weekend, and starting again on Monday. Whereas when you're flexible every day and you're not being restrictive, it doesn't make you want the foods that you can't have, because you can have them. You know, if I told myself I could never have a chocolate bar, all I'm going to want is a chocolate bar. But if I say, you know what, every other day I'm going to have one and still lose fat because I'm in a deficit, it doesn't make me want to binge. And this works great for me, and it's what I teach to all of the people that I help lose fat. And what I say to them is, you're a grown adult, you make your decision. Here's your calories. As long as you keep your protein high, because that's really important, 1 gram per kilogram of body weight as a minimum. As long as you're meeting our standards and you're getting some fiber, 10 to 15 grams of fiber a day, you can eat what you want. Now, if you want to be a silly fucker and go and have McDonald's for the rest of those calories, you're still going to lose fat, but you're going to be pretty miserable. You're going to have, very unhealthy looking skin, and it's not going to be great for your long-term health. But you're an adult, you'll still lose fat. That's up to you. So choose foods that you can stick to, that you can still lose fat, and you can still adhere to your diet. Because as I said at the start, the only thing that matters is, can you adhere to it? And if you want any help figuring this stuff out, if you want some guidance on what meals you need to be eating or how you can start reducing your calories, then I coach people through this exact thing every single day. So I'll leave a link down below if you want to book a free call with me. We can go through your challenges and your goals. But those are the 3 main pillars that have helped me lose over 35 kilograms of weight, and all the guys that I help with. It's by no means an exhaustive list, but for me, these are the 3 biggest things that have the biggest impact and are the biggest needle movers when it comes to fat loss.